force 0 on the Beaufort wind scale. She'd read it in one of the books in the cabin. There were lines that sounded like poetry. Wind felt on face. Veins begin to move. Whistling in wires. Whistling in wires. How beautiful. Over the summer, Cobb had taught her how to sail. He'd shown her how all the navigation equipment worked, how to read the weather and currents, to tie knots and fish. It felt good to know these things, the secrets and jargon that made her know she was a real sailor. Speed across the water is measured in knots. Ropes are known as lines. Unless they're attached to the sails, then they're sheets. Even if sails look more like sheets than ropes do. Well, who said it had to make sense? Then there was the shipping forecast on BBC Radio 4. After the news bulletins, the announcer would read out the weather reports for stretches of water around Britain. Before she had the boat, it made no sense. She'd only listened because she liked the soothing names. Marlin, Bailey, Fitzroy, Rockall. They used to sound like names celebrities might give their kids. Now she knew where most of these regions of sea were. Then she had her own tips for living on a boat. The wind is free, so don't use the engine unless you have to. A wine box is more useful than a bottle. Wine boxes sit squarely on the table, bottles clank around on the shelves or fall over when the waves get up. Eating cereal at any time of the day is acceptable. Did that make her a sailor or a slob? She couldn't remember and wasn't bothered either way. Curlew's Rest was the best place she'd ever lived. It was all hers, and together they owned the sea beneath them. She had her dear Uncle Henry to thank for that. He'd left her the boat in his will, and a chance to find a new life. At times she wondered if she should even thank her ex-husband Simon for cheating on her. A strange thought, maybe, but it had spurred her to leave London and her old job and discover a whole new life and friends in the country. Nah, she thought again. He was still a weasel. Her new life was all down to her. She finished her coffee and got up. It was time to take the boat out. From the clouds out over the bay she could tell a breeze was picking up. Just as she untied the last line, a man stepped out from the rushes and sauntered towards the jetty. He was wearing jeans and a shiny blue jacket that might have been half of a suit. In his hand was a brown leather briefcase. "Astrid Swift?" he shouted over. "That's me." "Andy Marriott, HMRC." He'd spelt out the initials slowly, as if to make sure she knew how serious his mission was today. Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs. A tax inspector. Not someone you wanted a visit from, especially on a Sunday. She threw the line back onto the jetty. Without asking, he put down his briefcase, strode over to the rope, his cowboy boots clacking on the planks, and tied the rope to the post. A good double clove hitch, too. She invited him on board, and he hopped up on deck, unfolded a chair, and sat down. A bead of sweat had gathered on his sizable brow. He wiped it away with the back of his hand. "Nice," he drawled, looking around the boat. His hair was silver-grey and thinning. What little there was on the top of his head was scraped back into a short ponytail. "Can I get you a drink, Mr. Marriott?" "No, thanks. I had a couple of Pinot Grigios down at the harbour." "I meant tea or coffee, but hey, good for you." He was too busy studying the boat. "Like it. A classic," he said under his breath. "Do you sail yourself?" She sat down opposite him. "Used to, as a kid. Had a laser. Would love to get back into it. Maybe not a sailboat, though." He talked in quick bursts, bouncing between sentences as if he didn't know how to end them. "A sunseeker. That would be the dream, right? Jacuzzi on the top deck. Oh," he wiggled his shoulders at the thought. "So, Andy, how can I help?" Astrid thought it was probably best to get this over with. Since she stopped being staff at the National Gallery, she hadn't given much thought to how you paid tax. Was being too busy an excuse? "Well, Astrid," he said gravely, "I've recently been through your financial affairs, and it's not good." "Really?" she sighed. "I'm kidding," he burst out laughing, shaking his head at his own joke. "Just a little icebreaker there, Astrid." "Nice," she said. He crossed his legs so his jeans rode up, revealing most of his tan...